Hello, welcome to White Glove Geography. Today the episode is about exam questions to do with the Stoke-on-Trent topic, urban issues and challenges at section number 3. We're looking particularly at the 6-mark questions, the social and economic opportunities. The question that we've got here is discuss the impact of employment and transport opportunities in a major UK city that you have studied. Of course, the major UK city that we're studying is Stoke-on-Trent. Here we have on the screen the discuss outline, how to answer a discuss question. So I would suggest at this point you would pause the video and just glance over the key areas, particularly the areas in the yellow box and also on the right hand side, the pink, the green, the orange and the pink box again. Now feel free if the command words in some of these questions confuse you a little bit, you get a few a little bit mixed up, that's absolutely fine. I would suggest starting with the multi-tool structure. So it's not perfect, but it's going to help us with most of these questions. So we can see the multi-tool structure here. In the yellow box we've got the introduction, we've got the peel first paragraph, looking at the positives and then make a mini decision. Then we've got the peel second paragraph, looking at the negatives, making a mini decision, and then coming up with a final overall conclusion at the end, using some of the decision words like important, significant, successful or effective. The first thing with any exam question, you might want to pause the video here and annotate your question. Now these annotations are just what is the question asking. Of course there's a second round of annotations and that's going to be looking at what exactly are you going to include in the answer. So again I would pause the video here, make a copy of the question if you haven't already done so and annotate what you're going to put in the answer. For a 6-mark question, you'll typically get maybe 10 or 11 lines. Going to be a couple of lines for your introduction, maybe 2 or 3 lines for your first positive, 2 or 3 lines for your negative, and then the AO3, your conclusion. Make sure you write your conclusion at the end. In terms of mark scheme, I'm not going to focus too much on this. We've got 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And it's a pretty generic comment. Level 1 is basic, level 2 is a clear understanding, and level 3 is a well-developed understanding. So here we've got a sample answer for the question above, which is discuss the impact of employment and transport opportunities in a major UK city that you have studied. Now, of course, this is a sample answer, so yours might look a little bit differently depending on what data you've chosen, which examples you've chosen, but the themes will remain the same. Employment opportunities are provided by a secondary or manufacturing sector where the pottery industry employs about 7,500 people, and also the tertiary or service sector. Those are the jobs such as the Royal Stoke Hospital where about 7,000 people are employed. This has had a positive impact since the closure of the coal mines, which is primary industry in the area. Transport opportunities such as the M6, which links Birmingham, which is about 45 kilometres south, and Manchester, which is about 40 kilometres to the north, they've had a positive impact as it provides accessibility for the warehouses such as Screwfix and Sainsbury's. In conclusion, economic and social impacts of employment are significant in the short term. The transport links will continue to be significant in the longer term. Once you've written your answer and you've compared it with the sample answer, I'd like to be thinking about the assessment objectives. Have you included AO1, AO2, AO3? So AO1 is knowing good geography stuff, so data, examples, place names, geography words. AO2, can you understand the stuff? So can you explain it in a different way? So using phrases like this means that, this results in, a knock-on effect of this is due to. And crucially, as we talk about a lot in class, AO3, making a decision, your conclusion. Words like important, effective, significant, successful. And you can see here in my sample answer, I've identified the AOs, AO1, AO2, AO3. Again, pause at this point here, have a look through to see if now you can identify your AOs. Down the left hand side you can see again I've got a next stage. I've separated out my different sections, my introduction, my first paragraph and my second paragraph and the conclusion. Can you do that too? Can you pick out the different sections that you've got? That's quite important because sometimes all the answers get all muddled up a little bit, so if you can include them in nice, discrete or separate sections, that's perfect. Now on to the next question. This is, recent urban change such as an increased cultural mix, recreation and entertainment has created many social opportunities within cities. To what extent do you agree with this statement? You should refer to a case study or information from a major UK city that you have studied. So we've got 9 marks here, so this is quite a significant question, and also an extra 3 spelling, punctuation and grammar marks. The key thing about this is going to be included all those aspects within the question. In some ways, even though it's quite a long question, it gives you actually quite a lot of structure because you're going to write a little bit about the social, you're going to write about the cultural, write a little bit about the recreation and also the entertainment. Again, we've got the sample outline. This supports you, this helps you to structure your work. So to what extent? It's that grey area in the middle in geography. There's no right, there's no wrong, but can you look at that grey area and come up with a bit of a decision whilst looking at the other side? The structure in the yellow box here, we've got the positives and the negatives. So number 1 is your introduction. I would suggest you give it a number, so to a large extent, 70% or even 7 out of 10, or to a small extent, maybe 3 out of 10. Then your first peel paragraph supporting your decision. Then your second peel paragraph supporting your decision. Then your third peel paragraph is going to look at the opposite, the other point of view. Finally, of course, is going to be your conclusion, using one of those AO3 decision words that says significant, important, successful or effective. Again, if some of these command words are a little bit confusing, you get them muddled up a little bit, that's absolutely fine. They will come to you in time. Feel free to use the multi-tool structure. Multi-tool structure, as we saw before, give me the introduction, this is in the yellow box, a first positive peel paragraph, a mini decision, a negative peel paragraph, make a mini decision, and of course at the end, write your conclusion. Multi-tool structure you can use on any command words. So assess, discuss, explain, evaluate to what extent. It's not perfect, but it'll get you pretty close to where you need to be. Again, once we've got the question, you're going to annotate it first, just to see what is the question asking. This is the first round of annotations. The next round of annotations is going to be looking at exactly what are you going to include, the data, the geography words, the examples, the place names. Here we've got the kind of space that you would have. In actual fact, you might get 3, 4 or even 5 more lines because it's a 9-mark question. Of course, plus the 3 spelling, punctuation and grammar marks. So we've got the mark scheme. As ever, it's pretty generic. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is basic, level 2, you know what you're on about, it's a clear understanding. Level 3, it's well developed, you've got a detailed understanding. We're talking about it could be transposed into a textbook, it's that good. Your spelling, punctuation and grammar, I wouldn't worry too much about. You're going to spell how you spell, you're always going to do your best, therefore on these questions you're just going to get what you're going to get. So here we have a sample answer to the question, recent urban change, such as an increased cultural mix, recreation and entertainment, has created many social opportunities within cities. And the question is, to what extent do you agree with this statement? You should refer to a case study of information from a major UK city that you have studied. So the answer is, to what extent, is going to be in the very start in your introduction sentence. So your introduction sentence will be, I agree with this statement to a large extent, 70%. Of course yours might be to a small extent, maybe 30 or 40%. As the variety of recreation facilities in Stoke-on-Trent, such as the Gladstone Pottery Museum and Trentham Estate, mean that people can find out about their heritage and enjoy themselves in family groups and outdoor surroundings. The Regent Theatre attracts many large West End productions, such as Ghost and Swan Lake, which also increases social opportunities through entertainment facilities in the city. The cultural mix through migration means an increase in a variety of restaurants, resulting in an understanding. However, the area doesn't have a wide range of museums of a full range of international migrants, or a full range of international migrants. In conclusion, to a large extent it can be seen that the opportunities created by urban change have been significant in the area of Stoke-on-Trent. Of course, depending on which examples and pieces of data you've included, that answer might look a little bit differently. But of course you're going to include the AOs, you're going to include AO2s, so which means that, and of course crucially at the end a conclusion. At this point, you're going to be looking at the assessment objectives. AO1, AO2, AO3, AO1. Do you know good geography stuff? Geography words, data, examples, place names. AO2, can you explain the geography? So, things like this means that, this results in, a knock-on effect of this is. And AO3, of course, the most important one, that's where most of the marks are. Make a decision. So, words like this is significant, this is important, this is or isn't effective, this was or wasn't successful. You've made a decision. You can see here, we've identified the AO1s, AO2s and AO3s. Yours will look different because you'll have included different examples, and that's absolutely fine. But just make sure at the end you've got your conclusion. Again, you can see the separation of the paragraphs. See if you can separate your paragraphs, or is it all kind of all mixed in? It's better, it's ideal if you can separate your paragraphs. Thank you for watching. That was the White Glove Geography video for today.